Namaskar. In today's discourse, I would like to start by giving the meaning of this word Namaskar, which I usually start this discourse with. The meaning of Namaskar is I bow to the infinite within you, or I bow to 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 that which is real within you, or I bow to your true identity. This channel is dedicated to life itself and truth, to realize and to be free of suffering, to liberate oneself. One thing I'm aware of is the discourses I have been making have been pretty long. I'm thinking of doing something about that because I understand, especially in the West, people value time and it may be difficult to find some time, especially like to give like 1 hour or that much time to a discourse. But I see value in that as well because when you are not aware of the time, when you are just speaking the truth, when you are at the moment just expressing what appears from that void, then I think time is meaningless and also in a way that works because if I have to think about the time, then I have to bring up my mind, right? And that might not be fruitful. So I'll try my best. At least I'll try to create some videos that are short and to the point. But today something came up in the mind and I felt like that's something we need to discuss, we need to talk about. It's very important in this life, in your life, in anyone's life. So, the topic of this discourse today is um, that which doesn't work. That is something that came to my mind today while walking. So, I think it's important in life to sometimes stop what you are doing, to get to sidestep from this constant busyness. We find ourselves very occupied, very busy in this world, but I find it's very important sometimes to just stop everything you are doing and just look directly within you in this life and ask this question whether what I am doing right now, whether that is working or not. Because I find this question very important to ask yourself time to time, because otherwise it might be the case that we might feel that something is working, and without deep investigation we might not see the truth. And what is not truth? If we are accepting the false, then false is not dependable, right? So the outcome will always be suffering. So I would like to invite you today to please give this question a thought. I may have spoken about thought in some video. I may have told about the negative impacts of thought, how it can be a bad thing, how it can cause suffering. But I also find that there is also value in thought, in thinking, right? I myself was a kind of person that used to think consistently, that used to think about everything, every experience. I used to do deep analysis. When something happened, when, for example, someone did something to me, and that caused unpleasantness, right? So I used to analyze that situation a lot, and I would then come up with a conclusion. Obviously, the conclusion at that time, I used to think that was reality. But that was just my illusion, self made illusion. So there is obviously danger in thought. But I also find that this tool, this intellect thinking, can also lead you towards finding the truth. So I won't say that thinking is useless and one shouldn't think at all. That would be kind of stupid, right? Because if we don't think about anything, then how would we go deeply? How would we find the truth of anything at all? Not just about life, about yourself, about the also the world. So, in that sense, I think we have to think sometimes. Otherwise, we might be in this eternal illusion that we might take as reality. So, coming back to the question of what doesn't work in life, this is a very important question to ask, to sometimes to stop and look and see if something that I am doing in a consistently basis and that which I have hope, whether that is something true or that is just a false hope, and the end result will be suffering, sorrow, right? So I think one has to ask this question to oneself time to time, that what one finds oneself involved in, that which one finds oneself engaged in, busy with, one has to stop and try to see whether this is working in reality, in real. So let's pick up some things in life, okay, that usually people involve in. First of all, I'm asking this question, I'm inviting everybody to look into this issue, this question. I'm not just talking in a shallow way, without any purpose, without any reason, okay? There is obviously a reason. I'm talking from the point of view where I'm talking from the point where there is something that works in reality. So I'm talking from that vantage point, that which works. But I am asking the question, I am inviting to ask this question, whether that thing that you are doing, whether that is working in life. So what do I mean by whether that works? Sorry, that works or doesn't work? What I mean by that is, if something doesn't work, then you might still have hope that it will work sometime in the future. That is the hope of man. He doesn't know the truth, so he tries something in life, and there is a hope that that's the right way to go. That's the thing to do. And even if it doesn't seem to work right now, it will work in the future. So we need to use our brain, use our intellect to really find out the truth about this thing, okay? So let's pick some things in life that normally we engage in. So let's see if the thing that we do in our life, the things we do in our life, is actually working. First of all, I would like to start from social media, especially Facebook or other platform. Why do people use Facebook or other social platform? If I ask someone, then he or she might give different reasons to connect with someone, to be friends, to normally people use Facebook to see what is going on in another person's life, right? Because Facebook is especially about sharing your photos, right? Sharing your photos, videos that you take doing something. So I would like to start with this. Have you realized this, or have you sometimes stopped? I know people are busy. They give a lot of time to social media, especially Facebook and other platforms. People obviously spend a lot of time, lot of hours just scrolling through and checking what is going on in what the person calls his friend or someone that he or she knows. Now my question is, I don't know how long you have been using these platforms. I myself don't use it. I use Facebook like I guess for a few months to a year and then I stopped it. So I would like to invite you to ask this question. I am not picking of Facebook or social media because of the fact that I think that this is a high priority, okay? Nothing like that. Just this is just a random pick. So let's start with Facebook. We can start with anything else. So I'd like to ask this question to you. If you are honest with yourself, I know people spend a lot of time in Facebook, right? You might also spend hours in Facebook every day. So this is obviously something important in our life because it is taking a lot of time. So I'd like to ask this question whether this is working, whether Facebook or other media that you engage for such a long time, whether this is working or not. Now, how do we determine whether something works or doesn't work, right? By something that doesn't work, the sign or the result is sorrow, problems, suffering. If you are doing something and if that brings sorrow, that doesn't solve your inner problems. Instead, that causes problems within you, like it might be anything that disturbs you. It might be anger, it might be jealousy, it might be lust, it might be uncontrolled thought, it might be desire, anything. Have you stopped? Have you analyzed this thing? Have you stopped for some time, some moment, and looked into your life? How the thing you do is affecting your life? Have you done this? Because I feel the way to the truth is to find out and exclude one by one the things that doesn't work in life. If you know that something doesn't work and if you still engage yourself in it with a hope that it might work in the future or it will work, if you do that, then I'm afraid that might be the end. That might be your whole life, right? It might be that you will spend your whole life with that false hope and you will never find that fulfillment. It will never work. It will not work. So, in that sense, it is very important, I think, to look and stop and analyze and think about it, these things. Has Facebook given you, has it solved your life problems in reality, right? You have to be totally honest with yourself. If you want to be free, if you want to ultimately reach that point state which is called truth. So you have to ask this question: has Facebook or has social media solved my problems? It could be about fulfillment, it could be about solving your life problems that disturb you within, it could be about happiness, peace. Or has it affected your life negatively more than positively? Because when it comes to truth, there is nothing like compromise, right? This is kind of a selfish journey, but a selfish journey that will be worth it at the end, because the result will be beautiful. It will not, it will be something that will be fulfilling eternally, forever, right? It is too great, it is too beautiful. That's why I think you have to sacrifice some things for the sake of truth. Otherwise, if someone just compromises with everything in life, then that means he has accepted false. He is not ready to move beyond that. He is not ready to make progress. That is why I asked this question, whether social media, the amount of time we engage in, whether that has truly made you happy, truly solved your inner problems. You might find work from Facebook or social media, but that is not important in reality, right? You know that. That is something in the surface level. That doesn't go deep within you, right? That is just shallow things. What I am talking about is whether it has touched deeply within you, it has gone deep within you, and it has brought something kind of the quality of freedom. So I shouldn't say what is right or what is wrong, right? That is something you have to find, you have to realize within you, because that will be kind of conditioning. If someone says you have to do this or you have to do that or this is good, this is bad, that is not truth. That is his conditioning, and he is going to condition you. That's not the way of the truth, right? So this is a question one has to stop and ask within yourself, and to see what is the impact of the thing that you are doing. If the thing that you are doing is bringing sorrow within you, it is developing, is increasing insecurity, is increasing fear, is increasing jealousy, is increasing all these types of suffering and sorrow, then you have to stop and now take a decision, right? You have to, even if you have to leave it or stop it, you have to do that. Once you have seen the falsity of it, once you have found the false, then you will move on, right? So let's take another example, video games. Obviously, video game is something that is also a big part in these modern times of people. every people of every age play games, right? Now, when someone plays video games, right? Someone might be playing video games for a long time, for years. He or she might have some games that he or she might find pleasurable, right? That might give pleasure. Obviously, when someone plays video game, then that gives pleasure, right? That gives some things, that gives some kind of release, or people also might call it happiness. That's why they engage in it, right? It gives something of pleasure. But I would like to now invite you again to ask this question, whether it has really worked till now. You might have been playing video games for 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year. Has this solved your life problem? Has this really made you happy? When you are alone, do you find yourself happy? Or is video game a kind of an escape that your life is suffering? You know you have sorrow in life, but you are not going to accept that. So you jump into video games, right? So that is a way of running away from reality, because that will not solve any problem, because you will get free time. The video game session will not last forever. You will play game, then you will find some time, right? Where you will find yourself alone. So has video games really solved human problem, your problem? Has it? Have you stopped and thought about this? Have you stopped and thought about whether this is something as truth? Truth is something that is eternal. Whether man has heard something about truth or not, but I'll say that truth is something that is eternal, that will stay forever. Its quality is that of, it will not change. It is big. It is fulfilling. It is happiness. There is obviously something as truth. So I'm asking whether constant engagement in video game has solved your inner problems in reality. I think I don't have to describe what problems is, inner problems, what I mean by that. You might know, you know what problems you have in life, right? Everyone knows. He or she might fake it, he or she might hide it to the world, but he or she knows within himself or herself. The person knows within. If there is problem, then he knows he is in sorrow, he is in suffering, right? So even after playing video games for 5 years, 10 years, you still find yourself depressed, right? You still find yourself very unhappy, you find yourself that this has brought darkness in your life, in my life. If I find playing video game has worsened the situation, has engendered many problems like fear or anxiety or lost, things like that. If that is the case, then I would like to ask, wouldn't it be something to think about? Shouldn't we think about this thing and try to see that, try to see the falsity of it, right? Because everything the man does, at the start there is a hope that this will bring me fulfillment, right? But if you do something year and year and year, if you have done something for years and still you find yourself empty, right, then you might have to question that very thing. It might be time to look towards some other things. It might be time to move on, right? So I have brought two examples: social media and video games. Now let's pick another example. Let's talk about relationship, right? So by relationship I mean friends or even boyfriend or girlfriend, right? So people engage in this relationship, people make friends, and they also make intimate friends, which they call boyfriend or girlfriend. Now I would like to ask this question again. Has this worked? Has this really worked in your life? Has the relationship that you have made, whether it be boyfriend, girlfriend, or friends, has this really worked in your life? Or is this also a compromise that you know and that you have accepted? Whether this is kind of a business, a transaction, like I do something for the other and other does something for me in return, right? If I don't do anything, then I will not receive anything in return. So that is what I mean by two-way path, compromise or business. Is this the truth? If you are totally honest with yourself, then you'll observe things. What do you think? Has any sort of relationship with other people, has that brought something very fulfilling within yourself? Or on the opposite, do you find yourself consistently not in peace, that you find yourself consistently having to depend on others, someone? Whether you find yourself not stable at all, unstable, that you feel a great need of constant companionship. Is that the case? Because if you are the seeker of truth, if you want to find something eternal, if you are after something that is truly dependable, truly eternal, truly of eternal nature, right? That which is dependable forever, that which doesn't change, that which doesn't break your hopes or break your heart, then you shouldn't accept any compromise. In truth, there is no value of things like these ideal things, ethics, like we have to compromise, or that is what makes us human, or we have to think about others. Those things are all nonsense, right? Those things are all coming from an emotional mind that is not based on truth or reality. That is, those things are coming from your suffering. So first you have to find the truth to be totally free. We could go on. We could go on and take other examples, but let's take one more example. What are things that people engage a lot in life that takes a huge part of everyone's life? Let's talk about travel. Okay, that is also something that is a big part, obviously, in human life, especially when someone becomes an adult in terms of the age. Adult people like to travel a lot, right? Even if they marry, even if they have a family, they want to travel, whether it is with the family or alone, because they feel that going to a different country or going somewhere that they haven't gone before, that gives some release, some form of happiness, right? And they want to travel. Now I ask the same question. If you are honest, if you have some solitude in your life, if you find yourself alone and you think about these things, then when you think, do you feel that this has worked? Consistent need to travel, to always move. By travel, I don't just include vacation, right? By travel, what I mean is people don't like to stay at home, right? They go out, they go meet their friends, they go to a cafe or somewhere. Is that the case? Do you find yourself constantly out of your house, that you are not alone in your house? If that is the case, then that is what I mean by travel. So I would like to invite this question again. Has this worked? People might have traveled their whole life. There are people who have traveled almost all countries and places, right? But at the end of all this travel, you return to your home. You find yourself alone again, right? At that point, do you still feel this urge? Do you still feel this unhappiness? Then, shouldn't we be analyzing and thinking about this, that don't we see the falsity of this? If someone who has been traveling for, like, say 40 years, 50 years, right? Even at the end of that, even if that person finds that his life is empty, meaningless, he finds that there has not been any development at all, right? He finds that there is still that same sorrow that was before. Then isn't this also a sign of falsity, of that which doesn't work? So in this way, I think this is a very good thing that people do many things in life, but what is important is to stop time to time and question whether that is working, whether that works, whether that has worked or not. Because it might be the case that doesn't work. That will not give you fulfillment ever. That might be the truth as well. It might be that you have been trying hard. Let's say you have been rubbing the sand, right? With the hope that it will give some sort of nectar or some sort of oil or something like that, useful. But that isn't going to work, right? Someone who has seen the truth will stop. You will not do that forever. Life will end, right? So why do people engage in the things in life that hasn't worked so far? Why do they keep doing that? Could it be the case that a person cannot imagine any other life, any other way of living? Could it be the case that human people haven't seen something that is of eternal nature, right? They haven't seen something like that in someone's life, or they don't believe on these things, or they have no experience of these things. Because I understand that things like truth, freedom, liberation, enlightenment, these things aren't readily available in the market, right? You don't see these things everywhere around you. Most of the things that you see other people's life and you make a conclusion that that's how life is, right? You come up with a conclusion looking at a few people's lives. You come up with a conclusion that there is no getting away from relationship. There is no getting away from video games. There is no getting away from social media, right? You might think that is impossible. Everyone has to do that. You might have a conclusion that it isn't possible to end suffering. Things like that. So I can understand that, because this may be something that is rare, that isn't very widely available. But still, if you are very much sincere about knowing the truth, finding the truth, then you will research, right? You will search. You will search anywhere, everywhere, where there is sign. You will search, you will do your research. And in that process, you will find eventually. You will find those people that have liberated themselves, that have attained liberation, that have attained true freedom. You will find few people who don't need any of these things that I talked about, or even other things that people engage in. They have attained something within themselves that is of eternal quality. They have attained something within themselves that is fulfilling, that is of bliss, that is of the quality of bliss. They have attained true happiness within themselves. You could call this a state of your being or mind or anything like that, but they have attained something. And they will stay with that as long as life, until life ends, right? So that is something of eternal quality, and that is dependable in truth, that is free of suffering, that is of loving nature, that is love, that is of peace quality. So by truth, what I mean is that which works at the end, right? When we travel this path of finding the truth, we have to start from knowing that which doesn't work. That's the start of the journey. Because you have to find that, otherwise you will not progress, you will not move forward. You have to, you need to have that judgment or intelligence, anything you could call that you will see that something doesn't work, and after that you will eliminate it from your life, right? And you will move on. You will explore other things. In this process, eventually, after you have found all that doesn't work, you will reach a state, you will reach a place which cannot be eliminated, right? After you have eliminated all the false, what remains is the truth. So, truth isn't something that you look for, right? It is something that remains at the end. False is what you look for, false is what you can catch, false is what you can eliminate. That which doesn't work is something that you can find out and you can eliminate, right? So, in this process, at the end, what remains is the truth, which is of pure quality, which is of bliss quality, which is of eternal quality, right? There is something like that. So, in this discourse, I would like to again extend my invitation to you to think about these things, to do this practically within yourself. And I hope you will, at the end of the journey, you will reach at that state which is the real finally, which is that which is real, which is not unreal, which is not of dream-like quality, right? Which stays with you and forever. So with this, I would like to ask the permission to end this discourse today. May you please have a good day or good night. Thank you. See you later.